What's up, everybody? Weston here with the Hidden Gibbon, back with another daily deck tech video, and today we have a viewer request. And so without further ado, let's get right into it. So the viewer request today was for a commander I actually don't own. I have managed to get all of the singles from the Marvel, all of the commanders from the Marvel Secret Lair, except for Black Panther. I need to pick one up sometime soon. But this user requested a Black Panther deck. And Black Panther's a very interesting commander in that he deals with 1/1 counters and lands. And up until Avatar, I would say it's far more niche unless you're going to go with creature lands and animated lands. But he has First Strike. He's a 2/2 for 2. And Survey the Realm, which is whenever Black Panther or another creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on target land you control. And then Mine Vibranium, which is pay 3, move all 1/1 counters from target land you control onto target creature. If one or more 1/1 counters are moved this way, you gain that much life and draw a card. So before I get into the meat and potatoes of this deck, I will say I added quite a bit of earthbending to this deck because I think that Black Panther got exponentially stronger with the introduction of earthbending. Now, I did try to keep this a little bit more budget. I know $346 is out of some people's price range. I actually haven't updated this to cheapest yet. So this is a fun thing you can do with Moxfield when you make a deck. You can update to cheapest this way. Boop. Just like that. And we dropped it down to 316. Oh my god. I like Old Border, but that's too much text, friends. That is like a Storm Cauldron and Limduel's Vault level of text. No. But anywho, so I did not put in Toph Earthbending Master into the deck, but I would highly recommend that card if you can swing it, along with Ouroboros, the Ozolith, and Ozolith the Shattered Spire, and then Tribute to the World Tree. Those are the cards that I would add into this if you can play on a bit of a higher budget. But first we have a Planeswalker. We have Nissa, who shakes the world, and oh my god, this... she makes your force tap for an additional green. She comes into play with 5 loyalty, and you can +1 her to put 3 1/1 counters on up to 1 non-creature land you control, untap it, treat it as a 0/0 elemental. It gets the 3 counters on it. It also, I believe, has haste. Yes. And then you can -8 her to search your library for any number of forests, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library, and they are indestructible. So she lets you tap for double green. It's pretty good. For our creatures, so we're going to go a combination. We have some earthbending in here, and we have some token generation in here. We're going to try to do the best of both worlds. So we have Adeline. An absolutely classic commander card here. It has Vigilance. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and when you attack for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Note that since they enter, you will get to put 1/1 counters on some of your lands. We have Avatar Kyoshi, the Earthbender. She is a 6/6. During your turn, she has hexproof, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, you earthbend 8, then untap that land. Earthbending allows you to make a land into a 0/0, and that's still a land. You put 8 counters on it with the earthbending 8, and when it dies or exiled, it returns to the battlefield tapped. We have Brigid, Klatchin's Heart, which is whenever this creature enters or transforms, you create a Kithkin, and then you can pay green to flip it, and then you can add green or white, where that is the number of creatures you control, and you can flip it paying white. Delighted Halflings in here for a mana dork. We have Earth Kingdom General. I actually really like this card. I think he's a little underrated. It's when this creature enters, the Earthbend 2, and whenever you put 1 or more 1/1 counters on a creature, you may gain that much life. Do it only once each turn. Evolution Sage, so landfall, proliferate. Kami of the Whispered Hopes, if 1 or more 1/1 counters will be put on a permanent you control, that many +1 1/1 counters are put on that permanent instead. Add X mana of any one color, where X is Kami of the Whispered Hopes power. Then we have Kutzel, Malamet Exemplar. It's a 3/3 for 3. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, and whenever one or more creatures you control with power greater than its base power deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. We have Metastic Evangel, of who I will always insist looks like the Disney version of Moon Knight. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. We have Rosie Cotton of South Lane, and she is in here because she goes infinite with Scurry Oak. So let's read her first. When Rosie Cotton of South Lane enters the battlefield, create a food token. And whenever you create a token, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. So then if you have Scurry Oak in play, he has Evolve, but the Evolve is less important right now. It's whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. So you have Scurry Oak in play, you play Rosie, and you create a food token, which then allows you to put a 1/1 counter on Scurry Oak, which then creates a squirrel token, which triggers Rosie's ability, which lets you put a 1/1 counter on Scurry Oak, and you can generate functionally infinite squirrel tokens, a functionally infinitely large Scurry Oak. It's pretty fun. We have Scoot Swarm, which is landfall. Whenever a land enters, you make a 1/1 green insect. If you have 6 or more lands, you make a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. This is actually my wife, Danae's favorite Magic card. She plays Arena, 60 card, and Brawl, and she absolutely adores playing with Scoot Swarm. It's very fun. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, which is flying, and you and planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof, and you can pay 6. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Then we have Sovereign Okanek Ahu, which is a 3/4 with Ward 2, and whenever Okanek attacks, for each creature you control power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of 1/1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. We have Spring Heart and Tuco in here. I did not put the infinite combo in here that is Lotus Cobra and Nissa Resurgent Animist. However, you don't necessarily need those because we also have Nissa Who Shakes the World. So there is still a way to do this. So what you will do with Springheart and Tuco is one of your Earthbent lands, just say this Earthbent 2 land off this top, you will bestow Springheart and Tuco onto it. And then you play a land and you pay 2, and it creates a token copy of that land. That is a forest that is not a creature. It will come into play untapped, which will trigger the landfall on Springheart and Tuco again. And if you have that Nissa in play, you can then tap it for 2 green, which restarts the cycle. This will generate you functionally infinite tapped forests. And it just goes bonkers, my friends. Absolutely bonkers. We have Toph, the Blind Bandit, which is when Toph enters Earthbend 2, and her power is equal to the number of 1/1 counters on lands you control. Synergizes really, really well with our good old Black Panther. For sorceries, it's predominantly going to be Ramp. We have Cultivate in here, Kodama's Reach, Rampant Growth, Sky Shard Claim, Farseek in here as well. We have Earthbending Lesson to Earthbend 4. We have Earth Rumble, which lets you Earthbend 2 and then fight a creature. We have Harmonize for some draw. We have Sylvan Awakening, which turns all your lands into 2/2 elementals that have indestructible and reach and haste until end of turn. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, until your next turn, not until end of turn. United Front lets you create a whole bunch of white allies, and White Swan's Twilight is both a Wrath and creates mites. Remember, these creatures will trigger Black Panther. For instance, we have Spider Fog, we have Aura Mutation, which lets you blow up an enchantment and get a whole bunch of saplings equal to the mana value. For removal, we have Beast Within, Generous Gift, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshare, Stroke of Midnight. We have Earth Shape, which is Earthbend 3. Then each creature you control power less than or equal to the land's power gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, and you gain hexproof until end of turn. It's a nice little protection spell, and I need to pick one up. We have Grand Crescendo. We have Heroic Intervention, March of the Multitudes, Mughals Valor, which I don't see anybody play, but I really like playing this card in Arena, and I think it can be good. It's for each creature you control. Create a 1/2 white Mughal creature token with lifelink, and then creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So it doubles your creature count, and they have indestructible. They're adorable also. I don't know exactly what a Mughal is from Final Fantasy, but they're adorable. We have Origins of Metal Bending, which destroys an artifact or enchantment, or you can put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, and it gains indestructible. We have Secure the Waste, which makes a whole bunch of warriors. Snakeskin Veil for protection, and Unbreakable Formation for protection. Artifacts. We do have our boots made for walking to help protect us, and we do have Skull Clamp to eat our little tokens. Enchantments. We have the worst looking Beastmaster's Ascension that has ever been created. And yes, I love the show Avatar. I wish it would get a remaster, like the show itself, with update the animation, make it more crisp and clear. But anywho, Beastmaster's Ascension is a little outdated, but whenever a creature you control attacks, you can put a quest counter on it. And then as long as it has 7 or more, all creatures you control get +5/+5. We have Branching Evolution, so if 1 or more 1/1 counters will be put on a creature you control, you put twice that many 1/1 counters on it instead. We have Cathar's Crusade, which makes you end up doing an absurd amount of math when you generate tokens. You have Earthbending Ascension, which is when this enchantment enters, the Earthbend 2, search for a basic land card, and then Landfall, whenever a land enters, put a quest counter on it. Then if you have 4 or more quest counters, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. It gains Trample until end of turn. We have Felidar Retreat, which is Landfall. Create a 2/2 cat, or put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. You have Growing Rites of Itlamok, which is a Gaia's Cradle we have at home. Hardened Scales to help us with our 1/1 counters. Intangible Virtue to help us with our tokens. Loading Zone to help us also with our 1/1 counters. And also for our Avendo and Adagia that we have. We have Mirari's Wake, which is, albeit an old card, it is still a very strong card. And I really like it. I like finding homes for these cards that used to be very high tier in Commander back in the long ago, but have since been power crept out. But I think it still has a home here. We have Solid Ground, which lets you Earthbend 3. Then if 1 or more 1/1 counters will be put on a permanent you control, that many +1 are put on instead. Tocasia's Welcome, which is whenever you have a little tiny token and stuff come into play, you get to draw a card, but it only triggers once each turn. And Wilderness Reclamation, which is at the beginning of your end step, untap all lands you control. We are running Abandoned Air Temple and Ba Sing Se in this deck, as well as Avendo for our Gaia's Cradle we have at home, and an Adagia to copy our fun stuff. We have Castle Ardenvale in here to help generate tokens. We have Karn's Bastion for a little bit of proliferate. Some cheaper fetch lands in the forms of Evolving Wilds, Corrosion Verge, and Myriad Landscape. And then we also have a bunch of cheap regular lands. I also did add Karoo and Jungle Basin in here. Somewhere out there, Toma from MTG Goldfish, if he ever sees this video, will be happy to see Karoo in a deck. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I really like Black Panther. I think he's a very interesting commander. I think that especially with the advent of Earthbending, he got a massive power boost to his gameplay strategy. But I want you to let me know in the comments down below. As always, I am Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.